This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 78 of 2025. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at the Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media / the Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you'd like to support the Oddsbreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any. For winning cappers, you get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. And if nothing else, please visit the Oddsbreakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. We are back, my friends. I went 4-5 last week in my podcast plays. A couple tough ones in there. Unfortunately, I actually won the Florida State one that was given out Sunday plus 6.5, but that ended up closing at plus 4.5. So obviously, you know what happened there. But here we are. We got to call them out like we give them out. So that was a loser. But NFL kind of helped us last week as the NFL really picked it up. And so I was pretty happy about that, nailing a bunch of our plays, including the Browns that I got at 4.5. So good stuff. And today, all about college football. And that's why we have a wonderful guest, Mr. Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews and Pick 6 Plus. He does a weekly newsletter as well, which is huge. The Pick 6 Plus is loaded with information. Can't wait to talk to Brett about that, as well as our games and plays. But before that, college football ATS leaders, my friends. I'm going to pull that up right now, and we'll talk about some of the best covering teams right away. And there's only 5 undefeated against the closing line spread. Memphis 6-0 at the top. Ohio State 4-0-1. Texas Tech 5-0. Utah State 5-0. Louisiana Tech 5-0. Then you have a decent amount of 5-1 teams: Western Michigan, Illinois, Mississippi State, and Virginia, and Western Kentucky. As you know, Mississippi State just failed last week. Illinois did cover last week, much to my Purdue chagrin. Well, Western Michigan covering all those, since week 1. Then you have some 4-1 teams. A lot of big ETS margin in them: East Carolina, San Diego State, North Texas, Toledo, Old Dominion, Oregon, Hawaii, Alabama, Temple, Arizona, Boise State, Miami, UNLV, Cincinnati, Ball State, Mississippi, James Madison, and Utah. So big ATS margins on 2 of those, East Carolina and San Diego State, plus 13.4-ish on both of them for their ATS margins. So San Diego State, North Texas is covering by a lot. North Texas plays a big game against South Florida on Friday. Worst covering teams, burning your money. Penn State. Oh, my God. How about losing outright to UCLA? I mean, Oregon's pissed, like I said. Sam Houston, 0-5. SMU, 0-5. That's the only 3 that have not covered a closing number yet. Then you have a bunch of 1-5s, 1-4s. 1-5s will be Baylor, Virginia Tech, and Oregon State, burning your money. And then Middle Tennessee State, Texas, Louisville, Stanford, Clemson, Arkansas, Liberty, UMass, Northern Illinois, Oklahoma State, Coastal Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia, Georgia State, and Minnesota, all 1-4 against the spread. So there you have it. Those are your worst teams. Biggest ATS margin is Oklahoma State. And I actually have a play on that Oklahoma State game coming up. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. Also, Clemson 1-4 at -11, and they helped themselves after blowing out Chapel Bill last week. How the heck is Chapel Bill not at the bottom of that list? Carolina. They are 2-3. I guess they covered 2 spreads. Still minus 9.9 ATS margin, though. Let's go to totals. Biggest over teams we like to start out with, and that starts with Rutgers at 5-0, Tennessee at 5-0, and Air Force at 5-0. Those are the teams that have not went under once. Then you have Duke 5-1, USC 4-1, and a bunch of 4-1s. We'll go cover that. Penn State, Florida State, Cincinnati, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Navy, Kentucky, Virginia, Georgia Southern, Arkansas, Missouri, Nebraska, UAB. All 4 overs, 1 under. The biggest margins are Virginia plus 11.8, Michigan State plus 12.4, Florida State plus 12.5, USC plus 11.4. Moving to the unders teams, we have 2 that never went over, Oklahoma and James Madison, both minus 10 and minus 11-ish to the over-under margin. Then a bunch of 1-4s, 1-5 in Tulsa, and then 1-4s would be Kennesaw State, Missouri, Florida, LSU, East Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Arizona, Northern Illinois, Arizona State, SMU, Maryland, Auburn, Liberty, Nevada, Wyoming, Delaware, and Coastal Carolina. All 1-4. I guess Delaware and Coastal is 1-3-1, but these are all your unders teams. Weird to see Maryland there this year. ASU, it's like they fixed some defenses there, East Carolina with how fast they play. It's weird to see them under the under. Yeah, these are the unders teams. The biggest 8 unders margin is 14.6 for LSU, 11.7 for James Madison. So this is your trends for college football going into week 7. Now let's bring on our wonderful guest from Pick 6 Previews, Mr. Brett Ciancia. This done. Now I'm very happy to welcome back a Heisman Trophy voter and founder of the Pick 6 Previews, and Mr. Brett Ciancia. You can follow Brett on X at Pick 6 Previews. Brett, thanks for coming back on the show. How you feeling that college football is about halfway over through the regular season, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Kiev. And we talked in the preseason. The off season feels so long. Once you kick it off, it goes by in the blink of an eye. So can't believe we're halfway through. I wanted to slow down and really enjoy these Saturdays, but a lot to break down, and glad to be back here mid-season with you. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're back as well, man. And a couple guys pop in the chat. What's up, Bobby? Thanks for stopping in. Good luck this weekend to you, too. AK, 4 minutes late. This is unacceptable. I actually had an internet glitch, man, so sorry about that. I had to reset, and there was Brett sitting there. I'm like, dang it. But, hopefully that doesn't glitch again, because that, we're at the – unfortunately, at their mercy, right? We're at the mercy of our internet, but we'll see if we can get through and get some good content for you guys. But hey, man, I always like to ask, top 5. What do you think? Like, what was your preseason top 5, and what's your top 5 right now? Yeah, so in the preseason, I, like everybody else, had Penn State and Texas at the top of the leaderboard there. They were the 1-2 punch. I had Alabama high. I had Ohio State up there. And I believe 5th might have been Oregon or Clemson. A lot of that is shaken out the wrong way. I think that was pretty much consensus where people were picking Clemson in the ACC. Penn State was a top 5 team, however way you slice it, and Texas was also top 5. Those 3 are just train wrecks. So my current top 5, because that's what matters here, we're midseason. Number 1, you got to start with Ohio State. I think a very complete team, both sides of the ball. Top recruiter, great transfer additions. I love their receiver core. Their offensive line is playoff battle tested. It's a lot of the unit that made that run last year. And then look at the defense. Incredible coaching job by Matt Patricia with 9 new starters. They're arguably the best defense again. And then real quick with Julian saying, you have a true freshman or a redshirt freshman quarterback. I like that they've eased him in. It's been great coaching by Ryan Day. Now you're starting to see that vertical pass game be implemented. And once that is going, look out. They're number 1. So we'll start with them. Miami, I have number 2. Both lines of scrimmage are dominant. I really like their size, their speed, their physicality. Carson Beck just seems in control. He's getting the ball to some great receivers. That defensive line is nasty. They really bolstered their defense through the transfer portal with 5 4-stars in the secondary. You're seeing it come to life. Looks like a complete team. Number 3, I've got Oregon. And in the preview magazine, what I wrote about Oregon was that they were my 2026 national champion. I thought that next year, this younger roster, they'd grow up, and then next year would be the year they cash in. I might be a year ahead of schedule here. I mean, they looked the part already. They went into a raucous whiteout and won. Dante Moore's playing really, really efficient at quarterback. It's athletes all over the place. So they deserve a top 3 mention there. Number 4, Alabama. Now, if you'd asked me this on Labor Day, I would have thrown them out of my top 25 the way they performed against Florida State. But since that moment, they've really grown up. Ty Simpson's playing at a really high level at quarterback, extending plays, limiting turnovers, getting the ball to his great receivers there with Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. Jam Miller, a workhorse running back. The defense needs a little work in the run game. They're timely with turnovers like they did to Vanderbilt, but maybe some holes in their run game. I want to see them improve, but still my top SEC pick right now. And then number 5, Texas Tech. All that oil money came to fruition. They really rallied their boosters. They bought an incredible defensive line. You're seeing that. Baron Morton, a battle-tested quarterback. He's really clutched in the fourth quarter. Haven't even needed much of a fourth quarter this year because their margins of victory are incredible. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. 24-plus points margin every single game, and a plus 200 yardage every single game. They're the only team in America that can say that. So that's my top 5, and I feel pretty good about those right now.
I think that's the same as Bobby's. You said Alabama, right? Did you?
Yeah, Bama 4. Yep.
Yeah. So and he says no order. Same thing as Bobby's. Myself, here, I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit because I kept Ohio State number 1 since last December. All right. So I'm still on them. But of course, I had Texas somewhere in there. I had Texas 4th and I had Penn State 2nd, and we can kick those guys the hell right out of there. For me, I have Ohio State, and then I have just a little different than you. I have Oregon 2nd, and then Miami 3rd. But that's
same idea.
Going to shake up. And then I don't have Texas Tech quite up as high yet because I'm just completely not sold yet. Even though Andrew popping in, Texas Tech's an absolute. I agree. They're coming to ASU next week. I'm hoping to go to that game. And even though I'm a Badger fan, I have to go to the games down here, and I enjoy the hell out of them. I'm going to find out if they're real or not. I think they're real too. I have them in the top Big 12 in my power. It's just not my top 5. Andrew, hit me up if you go, dude. That's awesome. Andrew just lives down here too, so I'd like to get together with him one of these days. Found me through the show, and then Bobby, he's got Clemson as biggest toast. I was at least a little right about Clemson falling out, so I'll pat myself on the back a little bit on that. But it is what it is. I should have bet their season win total, or I just took other teams instead, and it wasn't Miami. It was Georgia Tech, but I think it's going to be Georgia Tech Miami in that championship game. But what else did I miss here? I had Mississippi. I have Ole Miss and Alabama at 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So really close. Okay. And to be honest with you, Indiana's lurking too. So hopefully we get to that game a little bit. What else were you like right or wrong on that you want to reflect on midseason, Brett?
Well, they're not wins yet, but I released 7 win totals with my Pick 6 Plus, the premium edition. And so far, 5 have moved in the right direction, and 2 are about stagnant. And what those are, it was TCU over 6.5. That's almost, they're about to eclipse that pretty soon. Washington over 7.5, USC over 7.5, Baylor over 8.5 or over 7.5. That one's about even odds right now. I'm not sure we're going to get Baylor.
I'm there too.
Bama was over 9.5. I took that, and like I said, after the opener, I almost threw that in the trash. But they're now at even. Yeah, they're back at even odds for 9.5. So I have that one in the maybe category. Who else? I sold SMU. I did an under with them, and they went out and dropped 2 games early in the non-con. So I think we're trending well with that one. And lastly, Miami. I mean, that one's on fire right now. They've won all their toss-ups over Notre Dame and Florida and Florida State. So that was over 9.5 plus money, if you can believe it. So right now, as it stands, if you're looking at how the money trended, it looks like a 5-0-2. I think the 2 Baylor and Bama are still toss-ups. So again, I don't want to celebrate yet, but right now they're trending well with the win totals.
Oh, that's great, man. That sounds awesome. So it looks like your advice has been going very well so far, and it's good to do that reflection. Anything, was it only 7 that you gave out? Is there anything that you missed on? I can tell you, I have Baylor as well. I'm a little bit worried about that. Bobby's got Baylor. I have to pull up a couple of mine, but I know there's a few I missed on. I think Southern Miss, I thought they were going to be way better, and I'm wrong about them. They still possibly could get to their win total, though, but I just thought they'd be a possible championship because of just the fact that they had the coach there, Charlie Huff from Marshall, that won it there last year, and they returned all those players and brought them over there. But I think I might be wrong about that one. My Vandy's trending well over. Washington I still think Washington could go over too, so I'm with you on that one. Liberty, that's where I was wrong. Liberty make the playoff? What? Yeah, Liberty's probably. I took them over 8.5. Man, holy cow, did I get burned on that one?
Yeah, the Baylor card. I mean, they've been it's been a roller coaster watching them. If you're on their win total over, I mean, the SMU game down by 14 in the fourth quarter, they rally that one, and then this week down 14 in the fourth quarter to Kansas State, they got a pick 6. I don't know why they were throwing down there in field goal range, Kansas State, but 2 really roller coaster type games. Now, granted, they did lose one the other way to Arizona State, a field goal decision. So in terms of what I'm wrong on, I mean, Penn State, I picked them to win the national title. Coming in, I had them number 1. It looked like it was following the same logic as 2023 Michigan and last year's Ohio State. It had that all-in type feel. And I'll give you the Oregon loss. You know, I mean, teams can lose a couple games now in the regular season, and that was a top 5 matchup. But then to lose it twice, you know, the UCLA loss, unbelievable.
Unreal.
And for all the credit, or I'm sorry, all the critique that Drew Aller gets, where was this NFL caliber defense against UCLA? Where was this $3 million man, Jim Knowles, and his defense against a guy, Jerry Neuheisel, who had 2 days to prep for the game? And, you know, credit Neuheisel, but my gosh. So
2 days.
They have a lot of problems at Penn State. So that's where I was wrong on with that one. Alabama, I mean, I had them really high. They lost the opener, but they're bouncing back. So I'm going to put that one back in the good category.
Yeah.
Who else? Texas. I think we all missed on that. Although I will say I never recommended the Arch Manning Heisman hype. I was cautious.
You didn't.
You know,
I remember. You were good.
And we had that stat. I think it was on this show where we talked about the last 12 Heisman favorites in the preseason did not win it. I didn't think it would come out this bad for Arch, but that ticket's not going to hit.
No, it's not. And I stay away from everything Texas too. So except for the under, I just didn't want to take anything on them. You know, I'm glad I didn't. Now this is such a short favorite with John Mateer, and we'll get to that game later. It just tells you everything you know about Texas. And yeah, Bobby, we don't need to talk about Liberty anymore either. So, you know, looking at all this information, you just mentioned Pick 6 Plus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So everyone might be familiar with my preview magazine, Pick 6 Previews, now 14th annual edition. But this year we launched Pick 6 Plus because, you know, the preview magazine is great in the summer. Once we kick off the season, you want refreshed data, you want refreshed stats. So what I put together here, it's called Pick 6 Plus. Hits your email inbox every Tuesday. Really a stats and information package on all 68 Power 4 teams. Advanced stats, my game grader formula, my line projections for the rest of the season looking ahead. Even situational splits, you know, how's a team off the bye? How's a team after a win? How are they as a home dog? All the other betting splits you'd want to see, current year, the last 3 years. And then I put in there a talent profile, looking at who has the most 5 stars, 4 stars, NFL draft prospects, because that stuff can give you a little edge too in the betting markets too. So basically a stats and info package every Tuesday. And I have a couple samples if you want to see them. If you want to sign up, I'll get you, obviously, yesterday's edition. We're recording here on a Wednesday, so I'll get you caught up the first couple editions here. But, thanks for bringing that up. It's called Pick 6 Plus.
Oh, it's great, too, and I have it, and it's got some really great information. You know, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that, you know, like the Power Portal. I really like that section there. What are your thoughts about the returning production versus the transfer portal ratings disparity this year for 2025? I mean, just to sum it up, it seems like the transfer portal teams are doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's great. Each week in Pick Six Plus, I put a little bonus page in there, and this week what I wanted to highlight was the transfer portal teams. And you look at who dominated the portal in 2025. It was 7 teams. It was LSU, Texas Tech, Miami, Ole Miss, Oregon, Florida State, Missouri. So those 7 teams, if you look at their straight up record, they're 32-3, and 2 of those were against each other. So if you take that out, it was really they're 30-1 against the field. And that's straight up. If you look against the spread, though, it's just as dominant. 23-8 against the spread, good for almost a 75% clip. So these transfer teams are dominating so far. And when you can compare that to the returning production stat, which that used to be a great indicator, I think it still has some value. It might be case by case. It's been a little hit or miss this year. The top teams from each league, you had Clemson, you had Arizona State, Vanderbilt, and Illinois. So far, overall, 16-5. It's okay, but against the spread, they're 500. They're 11-10, and dragging that down really is Clemson. That was the problem in that batch right there. Really, just we all missed the mark on that one. I don't know what to say about it. Just didn't come out as we expected with some 20 starters back. So yeah, transfers versus returning production. Right now, the transfer portal is increasing in value. I think it's important to include in the preseason magazine and in your forecast going forward. I think it's a huge advantage.
Absolutely, and it's smoking it this year, especially with when you look at Texas Tech. I was trying to be a little leery of them because of transfer portal. I wasn't ranking it high enough, and yeah, of course you look at the top 4, but then you get to Kennesaw State, and then you get to like Rutgers. You get to Baylor, who has not been great. USF's been fine. Boise State, right? These teams have not lived up, in my opinion, to a lot of those high returning production ratings. Good thing for Texas Tech is they are also top 10 in returning production too. So you have to mention that. But in general, it looks like some of these teams in the transfer portal really nailed it. And Clemson sitting at the top and #1 in returning production has sure burned a lot of people's futures tickets. So that's something to think about. You can't just rely on transfer portal. What's your game grader? Can you explain? Well, I know what it is because I've used it, but can you explain to the audience what your game grader is in your Pick Six Plus that comes out every week?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, game grader is my formula to really obviously grade a game. And what it is, it's a measure of statistical dominance. So when I say the best game grade, that not necessarily what was the most exciting to watch. A lot of these are blowouts. They're dominant because I need a way to track that. So what it is, it takes all the key metrics from a box score, your margin of victory, your yardage, your per play numbers, your explosives, turnovers, and you factor all that together. And then I adjust it for the opponent's strength too, because beating Alabama 50-0 is a lot different than beating Kent State 50-0. So it's the key metrics of a game scaled up or down based on the opponent's strength. That gets you to a grade. Now, that's just one grade. If you look over a whole season or a 3-year span or a 5-year span, that gets you a pretty good representation of how a team is performing. It's also key in my projections looking forward for line projections or game picks, season picks. So that's kind of my power ratings formula.
All right, I like it. Let's talk about some buy low, sell high. A little college football action, my man. Give us a buy low team or a sell high team. Start with anything you want that you think might have some value, coming up within the next week. It could be this week or next week.
Yeah, so a team I've been hard on is Iowa State, and I think it's time, if you haven't yet, to sell the Iowa State stock. I'm not impressed so far. Now, Rocco Becht, here's the good. Rocco Becht is unbelievable in the fourth quarter. He's very gutsy. He makes the key throws when it matters in the fourth quarter. Love Matt Campbell as a game manager. John Haycock's defense is great. But if you look at their advanced stats, they don't have the look of a top 25 team. I put this out there a couple weeks ago. They went and dropped a game to Cincinnati. And you look ahead now, I've got them, yes, a slight favorite over Colorado, but I don't know who's going to win that one. I think Colorado could do it. They're better than their record shows. But then after that, I'm selling Iowa State because of this. They got BYU, Arizona State, and at TCU. I've got them underdog spots, all 3 of those. And then you got Kansas and basically a pick 'em. I could see that going either way. So I think you have a team here that is ranked on maybe the reputation from last year and maybe the 5-0 start. But I don't know. I'm going to sell them going forward. On the buy side, I like TCU. This was one of the win total teams. They've come out so far pretty strong, lost a close one to Arizona State. But I think they have a great offense. I mean, Josh Hoover at quarterback, Eric McAllister, their do-it-all receiver, just a dynamic team to watch. Little concern on defense. They're going to have to win some more shootouts going forward. But looking ahead, I've got them favored in a lot of games down the stretch. So that's a team that isn't ranked right now. I think is a top 25 team if you're talking about who the best are. So sell Iowa State. I'll buy TCU. Maybe even buy Washington a little bit. Favorable schedule draw for me. I think they beat Illinois and get to something like 9-2 going into the Oregon game in the finale. So that's what I'd do for this buy sell.
Absolutely. I wish Iowa State wasn't playing incompetent Colorado this week, man. I would have been much more excited to take the dog, but it's Colorado at the 3, so it's kind of like sneaking up there. I'll go with a sell high on Georgia. It's just not the Georgia I remember, and they have a tough schedule coming up here. I already have a play against them coming up, and I just Stockton looks good from a QBR standpoint, but they haven't really played a hard schedule yet. The hard team they played was Alabama, and Alabama just beat them all over the field. It looked like they were playing a different team, some mediocre team. It was interesting. I just think they're suspect. I don't think it's one of Kirby's best teams, and they're not great in the trenches like they used to be. So, in my opinion, I'm selling Georgia, and you can throw Michigan in there too. I'm considering selling them this week also, so we maybe will get to that Michigan versus USC game. I was not impressed with what they did with my Badgers last week. This Badger team's horrible, and Michigan struggled a little too much to pull away. Also let that back door in as well. My buy low is Penn State. Hate to say it, but I mean, can you get lower than this? I think they know that, they had their tough game against Oregon. They had their letdown at UCLA. But, man, it's still a team where James Franklin's a bully, and he bullies the smaller teams around, and guess what he's got left? Mostly small teams minus Indiana. So it's going to be bully, bully, bully. It's 21.5 right now with Northwestern, and I'm seriously looking at laying it, just thinking that it is a get-up spot from hell for them. So I unfortunately have to buy low on James Franklin.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're like one of those tech stocks that goes sky high and then tanks with the UCLA loss. You might have an opportunity to buy back in here. Yeah, Northwestern only 21-point dogs. I mean, I think Penn State covers that. And to your point on Michigan, we'll get into it later. I don't know what to make of them because it seems to be, you have your true freshman quarterback, but the emergence of Donovan McCulley has impressed me. I think that what they were missing was playmakers on the outsides. He did have a big game against Wisconsin. I know the rest of the team came up a little small, but that emergence caught my eye. We'll see about the USC game this week.
Yeah, it's the coach, Sherrod Moore. I just think that he's their downfall, and we'll see what happens with the USC. But USC's got a tough schedule coming up with Notre Dame and other teams as well. So we'll get into all that fun stuff. Let's get into a 6-pack of games then, starting with Ohio State versus Illinois. We kind of both picked this one. The spread right now is 14.5. It's kind of creeping towards 14. The total is 49.5. So I'll go first here. It's a total play for me. I've been eyeing it up since it came out. Illinois has just not been great on defense. I know this, but they showed some poise when they played USC a little bit on the road at Purdue. It's not like their defense is the worst. It's just not good. But it's Ohio State is a type of team now that just isn't flash. They're slowing it down. If you take out the FCS game that they scored 70 on, I think it was Grambling, they only averaged 29 points a game. But this defense in Ohio State is one of the best defenses that I've seen. And you know what's funny about Jim Knowles and Patricia? It's like, was Knowles good and now he's bad? And now Matt Patricia, who was bad, is good? I think that these coordinators are just, I don't know. Patricia, I don't think is any good. And I think Jim Knowles is better than he's getting credit for at Penn State. It was just a bad spot for the kids. But either way, the talent is there. You sure can look pretty dang good when you have talent. And you can ask Bill Belichick about that behind the scenes because he's not going to answer you honestly. Anyway, but this is a Buckeyes team that might hold this team to 6 points, and I'm fine if it's 40-6. I think there's a lot of ways that this thing can go under. Both teams play very slow. Ohio State ranking 124th in tempo, while Illinois ranks 114th in seconds between snaps as well. I just think the Buckeyes could easily cover this spread, but I also think that Illinois cannot score some points. So I also like Illinois' team total under clearly. But, for this show, I'll take under 49.5, Brett.
Yeah, I like it. And we both picked the same game, but I'll do a different side. I'm going to take Ohio State minus the 14 or 14 and a half based on what you get it. I just think they're the best team in the country. They're dominant both sides of the ball. And what they showed me against Minnesota was now they're starting to open up that vertical pass game. They were very conservative to start it out the first 5 games. Then now you see Sion hitting deep balls to Jeremiah Smith and Tate, and they're great tight ends. So I like what we have with Ohio State. Illinois, here's a spot for them is that only 4 teams in Power Five have not had a bye yet. It's one of those calendar years where we get 2 bye weeks. They haven't had a bye yet, so they're going on their 7th straight game. It's been a grind. I mean, they had that Indiana blowout loss, that physical game, the USC, the back and forth game-winning field goal game, the Purdue rivalry game. So I think they're just coming in exhausted. Meanwhile, Ohio State's kind of been in cruise control. The starters, I don't think, have had to go on the distance except the Texas opener. So I think you just have a bad spot for Illinois. I know Big Noon Kickoff is in town, but I think Ohio State's going to roll. I just think they're going to suffocate that offense, and they're going to do what they want on offense when they have the ball. So I'll go Ohio State by 14.
I like it, and I'm leaning that side as well. I'm just waiting for a better number. See if Illinois becomes a public dog here. If that's the case, I'm certainly going to be on Ohio State. Here's a game of the week: Houston versus Oklahoma State. Now, of course, there is a worse game. If you want to talk UMass versus Kent State, yeah, the 2 worst teams in the nation are playing each other. I think we can get away from the sicko for now, but if somebody wants to bring it up in the chat, we'll have to cover it. This is a gross game too, but Oklahoma State plus 14.5, total 47.5. I'm hoping this is the only time that I have to bet Oklahoma State because I have to. I mean, this is just the better. You got to get dirty, man. You got to get a little dirty sometimes. The Cowboys are terrible, but if there's any wins on this schedule, it is this one. And this team has been embarrassed. But the Cougars just suffered their first loss last week to Texas Tech, but they haven't been that impressive to me throughout the year. Looking at their schedule, it's been pretty easy. They haven't played anybody with a pulse. Oklahoma State, terrible, 127th in offensive EPA. But they might be able to run the ball against this Cougars defense that ranks 84th in defensive rushing success rate. The Cougars rely on their pass defense to win games, but their offense is also terrible. And that's really why I'm taking 14.5 here. 124th in success rate, 121st in EPA. That's what Houston is all about this year. Just defense and bad offense. They couldn't score against Texas Tech last week. Fluky score. When they went to Oregon State, this kind of reminds me of the same game. They won 27-24. Yet they were outgained in yards, which is very strange and ugly. I'm just going to get dirty here, hold my nose. I'm taking 14.5 for 2 stars, man. And I know they just lost their tight end to the transfer portal, but I don't think that matters when you're losing all these games. Throw it to anybody.
Yeah, that's the least of their concerns.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're right with Houston is that Oregon State game, they trailed big in the 4th quarter against Oregon State. They really needed a miracle comeback to pull out of that game in Corvallis, or else we'd have what would that be, 3-2 coming into this. It's been a little misleading record, I think. And they also have injury problems. I think Connor Wigman, their quarterback, he left the game against Texas Tech. I don't know where that's at right now. We have to wait for the injury report. But if he's out, you have Zion Chris. He really underperformed, underwhelmed me last year and against Texas Tech this year. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to pick Oklahoma State. But you're right. If there's a spot to do it, you got a touchdown or 2 touchdowns and a hook. We'll see. But they've looked really, really rough. I'll go with you on this one.
All right. Just hold your nose. We'll reconvene later. It looks like Bobby's against me, but that Connor Wigman, he better play. That's all I have to say, man. He better play. You got to get some points somewhere. Let's go to the next game here, and this is one that you picked. TCU versus Kansas State, and Kansas State's a home dog plus 1.5, total 55.5.
Yeah, so I've been high on TCU. I mentioned them throughout the show already. They were one of my win total teams. I had them as a buy low in the stock market indicator there. But with TCU, love the offense. We've all seen it now this season, last season. They can score points. They can throw the ball pretty much at will. The defense has some concerns, but Kansas State has really underwhelmed this year. A lot of one-score games. They should have lost another one to North Dakota, the FCS opponent. Really underwhelming. Their coaching decisions in games, their ball control at the end of games, like they can't salt away games. And I like TCU here. I thought it'd be a higher number. So to see it come in only about a point or 2 points, that's what caught my eye about it. I think TCU is a much better team, and they're going to cover that number. I know that they're coming off the Colorado win and K-State coming off a heartbreaker to Baylor, but can you call it a heartbreaker? They threw that game away with the Avery Johnson pick six. So I like TCU. I think they're a much stronger team than Kansas State here. So with a point or two, I'll take it.
I took it as well. I agree with you. I lay -1.5 at Kansas State. And Kansas State, the way they lost that game, I don't know how they're going to get up again, because now you have 4 losses. You're 4-2. Yeah, of course you can make a bowl game, but I'm not sure if that's what they're thinking here. They do come back home. It's usually a pretty good rivalry between these two. Just a short 2 years ago, they're in the top of the Big 12, right? They're the kind of teams vying for one in the Big 12 championship, and one made it to the 4-team playoff, right? But It's just TCU's too strong on the offense, and TCU could have won at ASU and just blew it. They rebound against Colorado. And now going to Kansas State, I think they kind of put the pedal to the metal. It was too low of a spread for me not to take, and I'll make an official podcast play as well. I'll lay it with TCU with you at -1.5. I like Sonny Dykes over there. He knows how to put on points against almost everybody. So good.
Hey, did you catch the ending of that TCU Colorado game? If you were a bettor in that one, oh my gosh, because it was -13.5, and they were just going to run the clock down, and Hoover bombed it to the end zone on the final play. That's just the kind of stuff. I mean, that's the rush of a gambler. I mean, pro and con. If you're on either side of that, that's crazy. But yeah, let's go with TCU in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby's with us. He said Edwards is back, but Joe Jackson got more meaningful snaps. Yeah, it's funny. There's going to be a little controversy at quarterback, but that's another thing I'm not so worried about at Oklahoma State, because they all suck. So they all suck equally. They just need to suck to not less than 14.5 points. Next game, let's go to Georgia versus Auburn. Auburn +3.5, total 45.5. I got a little better of a number, but it's okay. I still like it here. I remember the days we used to rely on Georgia's defense, but it's not this year. They're not ranking in the top 10. Auburn played a great schedule. I mean, at least you can give them that. And they were out of gas at Texas A&M. Now they have the bye. They beat Oklahoma and got reffed right out of that game. And everybody tweeted about it. It's just a fact. I give them a win for that. Even after the crap they went through in number 7th schedule on Jeff Sagarin, they still have a positive net yards per play at .35. Georgia's lost to Alabama says it all to me. They struggle at quarterback. Only ranked 41st in pass EPA. 123rd in explosive plays. They're not. If you can't get explosive plays, you're going against the number 1 opponent rush EPA team in Auburn. And that's a very stingy defensive line they have there this year. So they have to establish the run to make it easier. Gunnar Stockton, they're not going to. I like Auburn in a short spread here. It's not even that short. It's 3.5. You got the hook coming off the bye. Georgia's got Ole Miss on deck. It's just a home run spot for the Tigers. This is their season. Auburn +3.5 for 2 stars.
There you go. And yeah, I agree with you that they were robbed against Oklahoma. The missed call, obviously, but then really just if you look at yardage, and I thought they moved the ball pretty well. The thing with Auburn, and you look back last year too, converting their yardage into points. They're great moving the ball, and then for whatever reason, they were dead last in the country in field goal percentage last year. Red zone conversions were some of the worst in the country. So Hugh Freeze, he can move the ball. He's got to find a way to score the ball, and we'll see against Georgia. But I'll side with you on that one with Auburn.
All right, and Andrew says Kentucky moved the ball on them. Yeah, they did move the ball. They just couldn't get it in. But that's Kentucky, man. They're like one of the worst in the SEC. Yeah, a must-win for the boys in the Plains for sure, Bobby. Clemson versus Boston College. Boston College +14, total 54.5. Now I got to tell you, Brett, I know this is your alma mater and everything, but your Eagles screwed me last week. I look stupid after that. That was the wrongest thing I had last week. And I'm having a really good betting season right now in college football. But man, I felt ashamed after betting Boston College at Pitt last week. Are they showing up anymore?
Bad, you felt ashamed for one game. We felt ashamed as alumni that the whole season pretty much. So it's been brutal. They can't run the ball. You think of Bill O'Brien, you think of Boston College. I remember his opening press conference. He was saying, we want to run the ball. We want to be the old Boston College with a big offensive line. they're dead last in the country running the ball right now, and they've had to go pass heavy, and that's just not working at all. Not to mention the defense giving up 48 to a true freshman starter last week with Pitt, a first-timer. So, yeah, this is me. I put this on the card, even though I'm a BC alum. I'm going Clemson minus 14 here in Chestnut Hill.
Hate bet 'em, baby.
I thought it would come in something like 20 or 24 points. So this is way off for me. Clemson, maybe a couple weeks ago, we had questions with them. But after the bye, they came out playing loose. They did that receiver trick pass the first play against UNC, and then it was all Clemson from there. It looks like they're having fun again. It sounds cheesy, but like there's so much pressure when you're the favorite to win the ACC. They lose a couple of games, pressure's on. They came out, they played loose. I think they're just back to playing how they want to play. And if BC is a similar opponent strength to me than UNC is. So I think Clemson's going to do whatever they want up there. Not much of a home field advantage anymore, unfortunately, for BC. But I think Clemson covers this one handedly.
Well, man, I didn't upgrade them that much for beating Chapel Bill. I don't have 14. I got it lower than this. I'm surprised that you're up to 24. Is that what your pick 6 plus said this week?
No, that's just in my head. Yeah, okay. My game grader's got it at 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, after watching BC and being around it, thinking like this team is not within 2 touchdowns of a Clemson. It's just so yeah, numbers have it around 15ish, but yeah, I think it's going to go higher than that.
I just remember BC during these games, and they always just make them ugly, and they've done that. But can they do that with Bill O'Brien? I don't know. But this was always a spot I used to bet Boston College. I can't, and just like Bobby, I cannot bet Boston College again. I'm not getting burned on them. And it's just I don't know what they quit. I don't know what's going on. Clemson has a lot of work to do, but they still have a outside shot of making the playoffs. They got to get to the ACC championship game somehow, and hope Florida State loses a little bit and Georgia Tech, but probably not. But they're gonna play out the rest of their schedule, and this is a big spot for them. And is Clemson coming off the bye? I thought.
The UNC win was this Saturday.
Oh, okay. So that was just that last Saturday.
No bye for them.
No bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just even said that.
Game,
yeah, for some reason that game was 10 days ago in my head. I guess that was just last Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got the Clemson Tigers here. We'll see. This might go down a little bit too. I would say wait on this one a little bit, and maybe you get to grab Clemson at 13 or something like that. So, yeah, basically a bye, Andrew. I agree. We're going to end it up with a game that I didn't bet yet, but I'm thinking about it because I did make TCU one of my plays, Oklahoma State and Ohio State under. Florida versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M minus 7.5, total 46.5. So my numbers say Texas A&M by like 10.5, 11. And so this is 7.5. I'm close to making the bet, but I'm really thinking about I'm just waiting it out. I think I might get a 7, and I'm hoping that after what people saw with Florida last week, and they think about with the LSU, they should have put up more points. That they'd be looking at that. Florida's in a horrible spot. I mean, freaking letdown spot. They beat Texas. These kids cared about this game. They've circled this game since summer. They don't care if they had woes and everything because of Arch Manning. They wanted to beat Arch Manning just like anybody else. But now they're in a spot against a Texas A&M team that looks the part. And, man, Marcel Reed's looking great. He's running the ball well. Florida, DJ Lagway has been terrible until last week. And I know they got the rookie Wilson back, the young kid Wilson, and he did really good at receiving. But against a Texas A&M defense, I think it's going to be a little bit different here, especially when you're on the road. Texas was out of gas, in my opinion, when they played this game. And I think maybe the teams could be turning a little bit on Arch. But Texas A&M, the only team to score a bunch of points against them was really Notre Dame. If you take out UTSA in the beginning, throw away first game, they've been fantastic. Stopping Auburn to 10 points, their D looked legit. Lots of money on the public dog, Mississippi State. They couldn't even get to 10 points. They were at 9.
Yeah.
I want to lay it, and I'm not there yet, but give me a 7 and I'll take it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've got it double digits. My numbers have it Texas A&M by 12.5 or 13. When you look at it, they're really dominant both sides of the ball. Top 15 in my numbers, my opponent adjustments on offense and defense. So they're getting it done both sides of the ball. They've answered one of my big questions was Marcel Reed at quarterback from the preview magazine. I wondered how would he look in his first full full season as a starter, he really looks great. I mean, he's dealing the ball around. He's mobile. When I was watching him Saturday night, the player comp that came to my head, and it's kind of random, but it was Dennis Dixon back from Oregon back in the day. He's got a similar body type, similar playing style. That's a great comp too. I mean, that would have maybe been a Heisman winner if he not gotten injured. But yeah, Marcel Reed I like now. That flipped from a question mark to a total asset. The two receivers they brought from the transfer portal are looking great with Concepcion in the return game and as a receiver. Mario Craver, he had a rushing touchdown. They're just getting it done. Where's the weakness on this A&M team? I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Second-year defensive coordinator and head coach with Mike Elko. He's been great everywhere. So I just don't see any weakness here. It's in Kyle Field. They're going to be up for it. That stadium looks electric. I'm adding that to my list of places I got to get to after seeing that. So I think you're right about a bad spot for Florida coming off it felt like almost a bowl game when they really needed it. They put all their emotion into it, and credit they got it done. But now you got to turn around 7 days later and go to College Station. So, and lastly with A&M, you asked me at the top, what was my top 5 teams? I think number 6 might have been A&M had we talked about it further. I mean, I really like what we have with Texas A&M.
I'm up there with A&M too. I think there's 7 or 8 for me myself. So I'm right there with you, man. Question about Maryland, and we'll get to these hodgepodge games. O'Connor wants to know, Brett Nebraska versus Maryland up to 7. Should I take those points? I don't know what Brett Nebraska, he must have meant they bet Nebraska. No, you should not take those points because there's a big problem with Maryland right now. Whenever you see something like this, especially against Nebraska, you got to look at the injuries, and that's what I did. I was like, "What? 7? What?" And then they should have beat Washington last week. Maryland should have beat Washington. I won the bet. Thank God I had +6.5, but that thing closed around +4.5, +4, and they won by 4. So it just depends upon when you got that number. Wegman's out. Or he might be out. He's questionable. I think that Justin Martin's out. He's their quarterback. He's their freshman there. He's doing great. But I don't think they have a hell of a lot behind him. And if he's out, that's what worries me. I think he's a good amount of points to the spread. And you're not going to find out probably until right before the game, unfortunately, on this one, O'Connor.
You're saying the quarterback for Maryland's injured?
Yes.
Okay.
Justin Martin. Yes. And yeah, and I just have to. I looked at it. I'm like, I would bet Maryland all day, any day, at that number. If especially against a Nebraska team, that just falters in this situation. But
I will say with Nebraska, they have a little bit more fortitude than usual. I think they showed me a lot against Michigan State. Now, this is a spot where in the past 5-10 years, I think they would have lost it. They got down 21-14. All the momentum was on Michigan State's side. They hunkered down. They got it done. They led a nice touchdown drive to tie it up and then ended up rallying for a 10-point win. That showed me a lot. It might have been kind of small in the moment, but like that mental fortitude was big for me. Special teams are finally cleaned up for Nebraska. This has held them back for so long, as far as I can remember. Just the dumb penalties, the turnover margin, and the special teams. Those were the problems. But last week against Michigan State, they block a punt for a touchdown. They kick a deep one that Michigan State muffs, and they get a turnover there, convert that to points, and then got like a 50-yard punt return too. So special teams from total liability now to an asset, that caught my eye. Dylan Raiola's playing pretty well. I think he's holding onto the ball a little bit too long. I want to see him dish it out quicker, but otherwise really good at quarterback.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong in this call. Malik Washington is obviously the one I was thinking about, and then all of a sudden now I see it says Justin Martin. I saw that Malik Washington went out last week, so I
think you're right.
I have to check on that again. Let me check on that, but I will bet Maryland, O'Connor, if it's not Malik Washington, if it's just the backup, because I saw him get hurt last week too, and I thought that was part of Washington's comeback, and I was unfortunately on multiple TVs. Let me check into that, but I have a big strong lean to Maryland, so sorry for cutting you off, Brett.
Yeah, I was skeptical of Maryland too. I mean, a quick undefeated start. True freshman quarterback played well, but against Washington, they really impressed me defensively. Now this is they held Washington way under their season averages. And had that lead. I think it was 20-3 in the fourth quarter. And as a Washington win total guy, I was already chalking that up as a loss, trying to do the math in my head. Where am I going to make up this loss? So crazy rally by Washington to get the W. But I just don't have a lean on this one. My number has it right at 7, so there's really no advantage or lean for me. I think that's an accurate number. You do have a little cross-country road trip for Nebraska. That could hurt. And we'll check in with you about the quarterback status for Maryland. But yeah, not really one of the strong leans I have in this week. So I'll dodge that question.
Yeah, and I'll look into that one deeper. But let's do some hodgepodge, man. And I'm not going to talk about the Wednesday night. I will say that Thursday there's also some good games coming up, and you got East Carolina at Tulane. Tulane's down to 6.5. This opened at 7.5, and I'll tell you, I grabbed East Carolina plus 7.5. I think East Carolina's a feisty team. They're coming off a bye. I think Tulane is too. I think both teams are coming off a bye. But I like what East Carolina's done this year. They're a weird team because they play fast, yet they're massive to the under, which just means that their defense has kind of been, somewhat improved this year. They're 15th in defensive success rate, 9th in defensive rushing success rate. So, if Tulane doesn't get to him with all those crazy plays that Coach throws out there, I think that they could slow down Tulane. I will say Tulane has had the harder schedule going to Ole Miss and then Tulsa, but both coming off the bye. I like the 7.5, but if this gets down to 6, I would possibly consider a buyback. What about you?
Well, to be honest, I don't cover the non-AQ, so I don't want to give away any bad info. From what I have seen when they crossed over into Power 4 land was ECU was playing BYU. BYU pretty much dominated, but I will give ECU credit against North Carolina State in the season opener. They fought tough. I know it's a little bit of a rivalry action out there in North Carolina. They played well. I think it was a one-score game for most of that game. So I think they're pass heavy, but to your point, maybe a slower or under type team. I'll defer to you on the non-AQ teams, but that's what I've seen so far. The only time I saw Tulane, it was twice. They played Duke, looked good in that one, but then got blown out by Ole Miss. That was not even competitive. You had Lane Kiffin doing alley-oops on the sideline on a basketball hoop. It was not a good look. So I'll defer to you with the AAC picks.
All right, fair enough. Southern Miss, Georgia Southern's interesting. Georgia Southern, I think, is a little bit better of a team than people think. I think I looked at that one and I just couldn't get to it from a number standpoint. I think that I want to. I'm at 3. I'm actually at the spread. I want to bet Georgia Southern at home, though, but I'm just not there yet. Maybe this gets to 3.5 and you see some Southern Miss money, but Georgia Southern's kind of weird Clay Helton team improving, good passing game, sieve of a defense, but Southern Miss isn't like a pound you to the ground team. Anything on this one?
Well, just from the preseason, I remember with Southern Miss, they were trying to be Marshall South. I think that was Coach Huff, and he brought all his guys down there. Is that right? Or is that somewhere else? I think that was Southern Miss, correct?
Charlie Huff brought his guys there from Marshall, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it's turned out. I mean, I know that was one of your season total picks.
It turned out not as good as I wanted, but they are still possibly going over.
Yeah, so not much insight here. I don't do the Sun Belt as much as the power conferences, so we'll see. I'm just excited to have this weekday action back and get to watch these teams. Maybe in a couple weeks I might have some insight for you on the Sun Belt and the MAC because they're always on a Wednesday and Thursday. So I'll be tuning in. I'll be enjoying, but no insights yet.
All right. So Bobby's like Southern Miss money line. So LSU, AK says LSU at night. Wow, Death Valley at night. So
yeah,
they are the real Death Valley now that they beat Clemson. So we have to remember that. This is an 8.5 point spread, and we're going right to a night game. The total on this one's pretty low at 44.5. It's funny to watch seeing these two teams with the low total like this. I do think LSU's defense is legit though, and South Carolina, Marcel, the quarterback there, man. He has been hit and miss for me. I think LSU is a lot better. LSU really needs one of those pick me up games. Now I think they're both coming off the bye. We were talking Nussmeier after week 1 for Heisman, right? And then all of a sudden they stunk it up at Ole Miss. They shouldn't have beat Florida by 10. But this is a perfect get-up spot for them. But South Carolina, unfortunately, is also coming off the bye and a big Kentucky win. I lean LSU. What about you?
Yeah, I lean LSU as well. And to your point, I don't think any team in America needed a bye more than they did at that point. I mean, they were just exhausted, had all those big headliner games in September. some injury concerns, we think, with Nussmeier and elsewhere. So they really needed that bye. I think you're going to see them come out of this bye refreshed, healthier, and more like the team we thought we had early September. With South Carolina, they've disappointed. Now, I sold them in the preseason. I did not have them in the AP Top 25. Did not make many friends in Columbia this year. But so far, I mean, they got blown out by Vanderbilt. They lost by 9 to Missouri. They've really been reliant on defensive scores, special teams plays and scores. And I know that's Beamer ball and that's by design, but how sustainable is that? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to hold up. So I have LSU by about 10 to 12 points. So I'm going to take LSU at home here to cover. Fresh off the bye, I think they're going to round back into form.
Possibly. I just think Lenore's. I think if you look at like home road discrepancy, it is bigger with South Carolina. You know, I think South Carolina has really failed. They went to Missouri, lucky to cover 9.5. They lost by 9. It was like one of those. That's their only true road game because the Virginia Tech win did not age all that well. You know, LSU,
they
Tiger
needed
Stadium.
2 punt returns in that, right? Didn't they need 2 special team scores to beat Vanderbilt? Or I'm sorry, Virginia Tech. And looking back on that, that's one of the worst teams in Power 4. So, yeah, I'm very skeptical of South Carolina.
What about the Texas John Mateer injury with Oklahoma? I mean, this spread is 1.5 now, right? You know, it's so funny. The books, like some people in the books mentioned that they said they have Texas minus 1.5, assuming Mateer's not playing. I think that's the correct assumption. I think it's bullshit that you're hearing he's going to play because why would they release that? I feel like it's confusion in the marketplace. So, you know, I think that Texas, this is their spot. They have to do something in this Red River rivalry, but this is a low total of 43.5. I still lean under in this. I mean, with the way Texas has been rolling, if Mateer plays, this is an irresponsible thing to do. You know, 17 days off surgery to your next game. It's irresponsible. Wow. Even though the bones grow fast, it's your throwing thumb. I don't think he's playing, man.
Yeah, when that injury happened, the initial timeline was 3 to 5 weeks. So you're even under the most optimistic angle here. 17 days from the injury. If he plays, you wonder, is he going to be rusty? I saw Coach Venables said today he's not doing any live action in practice. So it's kind of hard to flip that switch on right Saturday at 3:30 without any game prep and live action in practice. So if he does play, is he 100% healthy? If he does play, is he rusty coming off the injury? And 3 weeks off of not playing. So a lot of questions with Oklahoma's offense. And there is a big drop-off from him to Hawkins at quarterback. Looks completely different. Mateer is able to make you those 5 or 6 plays a game where he's improvising in the pocket and making these crazy throws. You don't see that from Hawkins or really most quarterbacks for that matter. So to your point, the defenses, though, 2 of the best defenses in the country. Texas, we've seen it all season up until last week against Florida. I don't think Oklahoma has the 5-star receivers that Florida showed and Ohio State showed against Texas in their 2 losses. Oklahoma, great defense as well. Mason Thomas at defensive line, maybe one of the best defensive lines in the country. So, it's funny to think that the Red River shootout, usually, somewhere in the 60s or 70s for points, could go Big Ten West style. But I think it's 2 really strong defenses and questions on both offenses. So I like the under there too.
Agreed. It's like I feel like I'm betting too many SEC teams. I'm going to be going with like LSU, maybe Texas. I already have Auburn and somebody else I gave out, Missouri. So, let's switch it to the Big Ten, Oregon, Indiana, and this number is kind of fading towards the 7. I really do think it closes at 7. It makes you feel stupid because it's like Indiana's a public dog. Indiana has the numbers stat-wise, and it's not like they had the best schedule, but at least they played Illinois. Is that Penn State aging all that well, for Oregon? Is it aging all that well? It sure didn't last week. I guess I'd still call it a quality win. It's a very good quality win, of course. I'm not going to bullshit here. But Indiana's my 6th best team here, kind of around the Tennessee realm. Then A&M's right after them. Actually, I have Tennessee and A&M and Indiana almost bunched up into one. It's 7. The problem is are you going to get the same type of Indiana you got when Ohio State played them last year? Is it going to be the talent overtakes them. I think if you're going to take Fernando, well, I'll save that for beer bet bangers. But I mean, numbers wise, I really do have Indiana covering this at 6.5. It's a late afternoon game. It's not that late here on the West Coast though. It's 12:30, so it's still gonna be like daylight, come the end of this game. But man, it's I mean, my numbers say barely Indiana right now, but that's where it's moving towards. But I kind of feel like a sucker. Like this is kind of the old bets that I'd make and lose. This team that up and coming, and they're like, they can play. People think they can play with the big boys, and they get smoked. But we saw that last year, and I will say when Indiana did play Notre Dame last year in the in the playoffs, they did kind of make a little comeback. Notre Dame let them back in, kind of, but played prevent and everything. But I believe that this Indiana team is better than last year. I have them power rated higher. I've seen them play. If they can play like they did against Illinois, then this will be a game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I checked in around Oregon by 3 or 4 in this one, so maybe some value there with Indiana. I think that spread's a little too high. When you're looking at both their stat profiles, there's really no weakness either side of the ball. I mean, they're both getting it done on both sides. Dominant margins of victory. I know that the Illinois game might not be like as high a caliber team as Penn State, but the margins what caught my eye. Plus 53 in points, 63-10. The highest game grade, we talked game grader earlier. That's my number one game grade of the whole season so far. It's just absolutely dominant, plus 400 in yardage. So I like Indiana to cover the points here. Great coordinator action. I mean, all 4 of them in this game. Tosh Lupoy and Will Stein on Oregon, Shanahan, and I think Haynes really getting it done in Indiana. Something's got to give, though, if you're looking betting perspective, because Cignetti is 12-6 straight up. I'm sorry, not straight up, 12-6 against the spread at Indiana. Landing 16-7 against the spread at home. So one of the hardest home environments. They're 18-0 the last 3 years in Autzen Stadium. Something's got to give. I agree with you. It's kind of an even game to me. So I'll go Indiana with 7.5, but I'll still have Oregon winning a close one.
Yeah. I think that you got to see the good Indiana show up here. They got to show up, and it's numbers wise, Indiana's killing it. Top 3 in EPA in both offense and defense, but the schedule is easier. We know that, but both of these teams are like 3.3 net yards per play. I mean, these teams,
unbelievable stat. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's unheard of.
It is.
I also saw this where Cignetti, he's learning a little bit with his bravado. He did not give Dan Lanning any bulletin board material. He complimented him, said he's one of the best young coaches out there. A lot of respect. So nothing for Lanning to post on the locker room walls this week. So I thought that was kind of funny. We'll see how it goes towards kickoff. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Yeah,
I'm very excited for this one. This is the one I really want to watch. And the Iowa game, Iowa's got a good defense. They always do, and it was just a muck-up game. But the fact that they got through it and then go to a bye makes me feel like they just kind of were in that environment too. Yeah, I almost owe it to Indiana to bet them for the 200-1 I got them to make the playoffs last year. So I almost owe it to them. So there you go. I got to give them some props for that. That's the best game of the weekend probably to me. I know, we just mentioned Texas and the Red River rivalry, but that's not the same as it was before. Alabama, Missouri's good too. I gave out Missouri at 3.5 on Monday. I took it at 4.5 on Sunday, and it's down to 3. This is just a great spot for Missouri, and I wonder if Bo Prevula, probably better than Allar. They probably should have kept him, but the team would have revolted, right? It's hard to talk about that. You live in Penn State country, but I think if Alabama's going to have a hiccup, it could be here at Missouri a little bit, because I feel like Alabama's a little bit sandwiched too.
Oh, big time. Yeah, you look at their last couple games and looking ahead. I mean, it was coming off the Georgia huge win, the Vanderbilt revenge spot. Here's your game you're currently at, and looking ahead to Tennessee. Yeah. So they're really trapped in a sandwich there. If you're looking just straight up without any situational, I like Alabama. I think they're the better team. They're more battle tested. But here's the problem with Alabama. They've had some problems defending the run, and you're going up against a great running back duo at Missouri. It could be the best duo in the country. You have the rushing leader with Ahmad Hardy, and then Jamal Roberts, also a tough runner. 2 physical backs, too. So their Missouri's best strength is going up against Alabama's biggest weakness so far. That's one angle, but I'll go Alabama still. I'm still high on them, and they've bounced back after the opener. But it's an awful sandwich spot.
It certainly is an awful sandwich spot, so keep that in mind. Let's bring our beer bet bangers segment in there. It's some long shots that we like. And Brett, you said you're excited for this one. You have something for us here, and I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, so I didn't know how long shot we're talking. So I have two categories. One, like the touchdown spread. I'm going Arizona State at Utah. Arizona State, they're about even to me.
Love it.
I really like Sam Levitt to create plays, and now Devin Dampier can do the same for Utah. But I think I like Arizona State's playmakers on offense a little bit better than Utah's receivers. So I'll go Arizona State there. I think 6 was too high. But really, my beer bet I wanted to get in here because we're talking a double-digit dog, and this is really variable. So maybe don't put too much beer on this one. But how about Arkansas? This is an interesting one because we just saw a similar team with UCLA go through a coaching firing, a big public deal there, go into a bye week.
They always cover after the coach fired. It's a huge spot.
Yeah. So you wonder, is the team going to rally behind Bobby Petrino? And, he's the offensive guy. The offense has been elite. I mean, you look at their stats on offense, it's been dynamic. Taylon Green, he's looking like Vince Young out there. Notre Dame humbled them. But in their other games, they put up a ton of points and yards. The question was really defense. How are they going to rally after the bye week, the coaching change? I heard some quotes from players saying they chopped the playbook in half. They're just going to go play loose and play fast. That caught my eye, or my ear, I should say, when I heard that. So 13 points seems like a lot for an offense like Arkansas that can score. So I'm just saying that you never know if these coaching change bye weeks, but I think you're going to see a more confident defense come out.
I wish Arkansas was at home, but yeah, they're coming off the bye here, and it's a big spot for them. I know Tennessee's probably coming off the bye too, but coach fired's almost an auto bet. I'm just waiting for it to get higher, and I'm wondering – there's no reason for me to rush into it. I feel like public money is going to be involved, and then it'll take it up to 13.5 again, maybe 14. And, it's one of those hold your nose, just kind of like my Oklahoma State bet. So, I'm with you on that one. That's a good beer bet banger. And Bobby's like, as a Bama fan, I'd rather lose to Missouri. Hell yeah, not Tennessee. Come on. If you had to choose one. All right, so, my beer bet banger is just tied into the Oregon game, and why not? Fernando Mendoza's 15-1, 14-1, whatever. I see him at 14-1 right now. FanDuel. Why would you take the money line at plus 250 if you can? I mean, not that he's necessarily going to win it because you got Carson Beck right there, but he has got some great stats. My problem with Carson Beck to win the Heisman is this: his schedule's freaking cake. His schedule after this is so easy that he can be pulled in the third quarter because that coach, they're not trying to win Heisman. They're trying to just get to the college football playoffs and win it. Louisville, Stanford, at SMU, and SMU is not the same team. Syracuse, NC State, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt. It's an easy schedule, and maybe Carson Beck gets it. But Mendoza has been putting up numbers, and in QBR, he keeps moving up and up and up. And he's going to get props if he beats Oregon here. He's going to shoot right up, and if he goes to Penn State, he's going to get props for that too. And I figure why not just throw a little beer money on him to do that. So love it, love your Arkansas man. Great call on that one. But otherwise, I love Pick 6 Plus, man. It was a great read. I enjoy getting it. Your magazine's obviously number one in accuracy over all these years. Brett, could you tell our listeners where they can get your great information?
No, thanks so much for the praise and for having me on again mid-season. I like our preseason edition, but I like the mid-season as well now to talk about these games. You can find me at Pick 6 Previews on Twitter, pick6previews.com. That's all spelled out. On there, you'll see information about Pick 6 Plus, the weekly edition. If you're curious to see some samples, just email me. If you sign on with us, you'll get all the back issues. And obviously this week, week 7 here, it goes every Tuesday. We're here on a Wednesday. You'll get yesterday's edition too. So yeah, thanks for having me. Good luck with these bets. I mean, I can't wait for another football Saturday. The season goes so quick, so just soak up all these moments you can. So yeah, always a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. And thank you to all the guys in the chat. I will be looking at that Maryland more now because I thought Washington went out, but I'm going to double check on that because that would be a play for me. Make sure you guys check out Brett at Pick 6 Plus. Now it is time for
The Sharp Side of the Force.
Sharp Side of the Force is brought to you by The Season. For the largest sports contest in all the land, please visit www.theszn.com/OB for 20% off. All right, Sharp College Football Week 7. The 5 most prominent sides and totals moves as of Wednesday. Sharp money on Southern Miss plus 2.5 to -3 at Georgia Southern. 60% of the tickets and 84% of the money. Sharp money on Army minus 14.5 to 17.5. Hosting Charlotte. 45% of the tickets and 86% of the money. Missouri plus 6 down to plus 3 hosting Alabama. 67% of the tickets and 99% of the money. Colorado plus 4.5 to plus 3 hosting Iowa State. 31% of the tickets and 85% of the money. Penn State minus 20 to minus 21.5 hosting Northwestern. 54% of the tickets and 68% of the money. Sharp totals. Washington State versus Ole Miss over 56.5 to 58.5. 20% of the tickets and 56% of the money. Oklahoma versus Texas under 46.5 to 43.5, 91% of the tickets, 93% of the money. Michigan versus USC over 50.5 to 57.5, 14% of the tickets and 51% of the money. Georgia versus Auburn under 50.5 to 46.5, 26% of the tickets and 43% of the money. And South Florida versus North Texas over 62.5 all the way up to 66.5, 20% of the tickets and 74% of the money. To recap, my friends, we're taking Ohio State under 49.5. Oklahoma State, hold your nose, plus 14.5. And TCU minus 1.5 for our plays. Oh, yes, throw Auburn in there. Plus 3.5. We talked about that one as well. Auburn plus 3.5. Plus, I also gave some leans as well in some games I may be taking in the immediate future. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Marco D'Angelo for some NFL. Please rate, review, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go get some winner.